Hey, what's good, everybody? This is Marcus from InHim FOCUS Ministries. I'm glad you're back again. I pray that last video helped you out a little bit, and I pray this one helps you out even more. Last time I didn't really get in depth with the symptoms that caused me to understand that there was something going on in this body, because I've understood this, that many times you can go in life and look like everything's great. It look like there's nothing that's hurting or nothing bothering you as an individual. And sometimes we want to stop at that superficial place, at that place of what we see or what we can feel or what we can think about another individual. And sometimes there's individuals that are going through that suffer. And I'm not saying that I suffer with multiple sclerosis, but I go through some stuff and I go through some things that has you, man, really thinking about it, man, really praying to God and asking you, God, to help you. He declares by his word that his grace is sufficient for us. And many times a former football player, former athlete, we lift weights. And when we lift in weights, man, we want to get sure, especially we want to go heavy, we want to make sure that there's somebody spotting us. And sometimes in my own personal life, I was really saying, like, God, are you spotting me? Do you got me? Do you understand what's going on? I know you know all the hairs on top of my head, and I know you're always with me. But sometimes when you're going through these peaks and valleys of life, it pushes you and it strains you a little bit. So let me back up. So back in 1995, I was in the United States Army. While I was in the Army, I was doing a lot of physical stuff. I was playing basketball and all that kind of stuff. I already gone through basic training. I've gone through AIT. I've gone through my on-the-job training. I've gone through all these training things, and now I'm at permanent parting. And so this time I was playing basketball, and when I shot the ball kind of like did all this, and it was floating and doing a knuckleball, and that's not my shot. Now I'm not the best shooter, but I can get it done, you know. And so when I did that, it was like, what's going on? And then I was trying to dribble a basketball, and it looked like I was losing my ability. I was uncoordinated with dribbling. And I was like, there's something really going on with me. And me being a former athlete, playing since like Pop Warner in elementary school and all the way up through college and playing football, man, I was trying to run and turn around, and I lost my balance, and I kept losing my balance. I was like, there's something really going on. So I go to sick call. Like any smart individual who would do in the military, you go to sick call. And so when I went to sick call, man, they were like, oh, man, I don't know. You know, I don't know what's going on with you, because they didn't do the things that you need to do to test for multiple sclerosis or any kind of autoimmune disease. They just tested for what they can visually see and put you through some tests and probably think that, hey, let me give you some Motrin, give you some sick call time off, and get ready and get back to work. And so what happened with me is that it wasn't getting better. And it was getting worse. My eyes started changing a lot. Went into see the eye doctor, and he said, man, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And sometimes you get a diagnosis that you don't like. Listen to me. Sometimes you get a diagnosis that you don't like. But it doesn't mean that that diagnosis is the last stance for your life. Because he said that, it didn't mean that that was going to be my life. And God really came through. He really came in and helped me out, gave me some grace, healed my eyes somewhat. And so I can make it better, and I can be able to see a little bit more. And I was grateful for that. And I'm grateful for it. I'm just saying it from that standpoint. And so I was starting to feel all these different type of symptoms. A friend of mine in the military says, man, when you get out, make sure you copy all of your military records. Keep those on file. Keep those with you, because sometimes they get lost when it gets sent up there to St. Louis. They get lost. And so I kept my military records, made copies of them. And when I got out of the military, I was having the same type of symptoms once again. And so before I even had those symptoms of multiple sclerosis, let me back it up a little bit. When I was out, I couldn't walk. All of a sudden, one day I woke up, I couldn't walk at all. They took me into the hospital in the ER, and I had Guillain-Barré. They did some tests, and they said they had Guillain-Barré. And Guillain-Barré is another one of those autoimmune kind of diseases that it traveled up. It can go all the way up to your heart. At least they told me back then. It can cause you to be on a respirator and cause you to be on a ventilator and all that type of stuff. And I didn't know all that. I kind of did, but I didn't know it to that depth. So while I was there, I didn't like being in the hospital. I told the nurse, I looked at him and I said, man, I don't want to be here. I'm going home. I'm going home. He says, yeah, you can go home. You can go home and die. I said, excuse me? He said, you can go home and die. I said, let me clear my calendar. I'll be right here. And so I stayed, man. And I found out that I had Guillain-Barré, and then a neurologist came in and did a spinal tap on me. And that's how you can find out as well, through doing a spinal tap, throwing an MRI, because you'll be able to see the lesions that are on a person's brain with multiple sclerosis. And my lesions are in my brain, it's on my spinal cord, and so it affects a lot of different things. And so I was having those symptoms. When I started having those symptoms in the military and outside of the military now, they connected the dot. Even though it was a long journey for me to be able to get the compensation that I needed to have. But I ended up doing it, and God really gave me the grace to be able to walk that walk and be able to stand upright and do the things I need to do today. And so now I am 100% permanent and total, meaning that these symptoms that I have are not going to change per them, but God has a grace, and he's given me the grace that's sufficient for me. When they look at my records and they look at it and they say, man, he shouldn't be walking. He shouldn't be able to talk. He shouldn't be able to do the things that he's doing today. I look at it as the grace of God, and I thank God for that. And I just say, God, you're an awesome God. You're a mighty God. You're a creator that I cannot never let go of. So I'm really grateful and I'm thankful because I see people in the same kind of situations and they can't walk and they can't talk or they can't do certain things. And some of them even passed away. A person that I know who had multiple sclerosis was Richard Pryor. He had it as well. And so he ended up passing away from it. And so when I first got diagnosed for it, it kind of grabs your heart real quickly, gets you to grab yourself. But I knew that I had to believe in something that was greater than me, and that was God. Greater than the doctors, greater than the diagnosis. I had to look at God and say, God, what do you say? And he says that I'm healed by his stripes. And so by his stripes, I'm totally healed. So I confess what I believe God says about me. I don't stand and sit on what I think. I don't stand and sit on what everybody else says. And I don't knock the doctors. And I don't want you to think that I'm a doctor, because I am not one. I'm not telling you not to listen to your doctor. I'm just telling you that there's a God who created the doctors. In my belief, there is a God who's Jehovah Rafiki, the God that healeth. And by his stripes, we are healed. So I don't want the symptoms. I don't want the sickness. I don't want the things that cause me to be a lesser than. And so whatever I have and whatever I'm doing, I'm going to try to give it all, my all. Because when I get to heaven, I don't know if I shared this with you last time, but when I get to heaven, I want to make sure that my gas tank is on E. I don't want my gas tank to be on full. I want it to be on E. I want to empty out everything that God had me to do here on this earth. And I pray that I do it to the best of my ability, that he would be glorified and magnified therein. So for today, I just want you to take encouragement and understand this, that you may not look like you're going through something, but God knows. He knows what's going on in your life. He knows what's going on that keeps you up at night, keeps you up and sometimes going into anxiety or worry or depression. He knows what those things are. He has the grace that's there for you. His grace is sufficient. He's a God that cannot lie. He's a son of man that he cannot lie and he shall not repent. He says it, so we have to believe it. We take him at his word. I just want you to know this, that God's got you. He knows where you are. He knows what's going on, and he has a certain amount of grace for you. Don't give in. Don't give up. Don't throw in the towel, man. Keep on going on and keep on going on. Thank you for listening today. If you have any kind of prayers that you need, man, shoot me up. Hit me up, man. I'll pray with you and pray for you. Because when he says that we touch and agree about anything on earth, it shall be done by our Father which is in heaven. So I pray that you're okay today. And if not, man, hit me up. If you see somebody going through something, hit me up, man. And I want to believe God with you and believe God for you. Blessings to you always. Take care. God bless.